Good afternoon, youngsters.
Oh, Dave, that is Dave. Dave, you can scoot back a little bit. You're like
How's
high
that?
de Oh, that's way better. Your nose is lovely though.
Well, I'm going to put my hat and my sunglasses on in a minute because we're looking directly into the sun. But I thought ought to get a picture of this ugly face before we got started. If anybody can't hear, please let Chastity know. Um, I have, I know at least three voices. I have my normal voice. I have my teacher's voice, as Trevor calls it. And then I have my old man's voice, which tends to tail off. So just let me know if I'm not loud enough. We're going to start where we start every story at the beginning. Somebody has been shoveling stone on this site since at least 1791. I find that pretty amazing. This quarry is almost, well, the story of this quarry is the story of our country. It began when our country began. It grew as our country grew, and it continues to grow as our country continues to grow. In 1791, there would have been an entrepreneur with a pick and a shovel who saw an outcropping of limestone. And this is a limestone, an outcropping of limestone that he began to harvest and built a kiln, big oven, put the limestone in the kiln, heated it, a chemical reaction occurs, and it becomes fertilizer to fertilize crops. And in 1791, where we are, there was nothing out here. Nothing out. Matter of fact, we have a picture of 1960 of our Texas quarry in the surrounding area. There is no Interstate 83. There is no Padonia Road. There is no Mays Chapel. York Road is a two-lane road. It's just nothing out here.
Full screen, full screen.
In the 1820s,
Oh, he's loud.
three things happened that changed the course of this quarry and changed the course of our history. First and foremost, through Baltimore came a group of Irish immigrants. They were pre-famine Irish, but they came to this country and somehow came through Baltimore and settled here. We're within an eye distance of St. Joseph's, Texas Catholic Church in Cockeysville. They have a cemetery. And if you go through that cemetery, all you'll see is Irish names. So the Irish settled here. Secondly, at about the same time, we discovered, I told you this is a limestone quarry, but it has outcroppings of other types of stone. One was marble. It was to my left, and it was a fairly large and substantial outcropping. And we had a product that we could then cut. All we needed was a market. We had the Irish immigrants. We had the marble. In 1828, the first railroad trip in the United States started at Camden Yards and ended up in Ellicott City. Soon after that, either the second or third rail line went right past our quarry on its way to York, Pennsylvania. So all of a sudden, we've got a product marble that we want to sell. We've got a workforce to cut the marble, and we got the trains to get it to market. So as the railroad grew, our market grew. And many very, very famous buildings were made of stone marble coming from this quarry. For example, the roof of St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York came from here. The steps to the Capitol in Annapolis came from here. The Washington Monument in Baltimore came from both here and another quarry that was up the road. And our most famous building, the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., partially came from here. Congress is controlled by Northern firebrands who want to punish the South for its role in succeeding from the Union. So Congress decides, well, we're not going to buy stone from any slaveholding state. And Maryland was a slaveholding state. So they conspire, or they decide that they're going to go up to Massachusetts to a place called Sheffield Stone in Sheffield, Massachusetts, and buy the stone from there. There's only one problem. Sheffield Stone, being in Massachusetts, is a lot further away than we are from the capital. Sheffield Stone, I don't think, was directly on a stone rail line. We were directly on a rail line, and it was costing Congress a house eating Congress out of house and home as far as cost was concerned. And you know what? Congress was a little bit more fiscally responsible then than they are now. So they come back here. And here's where the story gets a little murky. Either we didn't have it, or I like to believe we had a cankerous owner who said at the time, you know, you wouldn't buy it a couple years ago. I ain't got it for you now. So they searched around, went up the road 6 miles to the Beaver Dam Swim Club, found a stone that was similar, and finished the Washington Monument with Beaver Dam stone. So the bottom third is stone from our Texas quarry, the middle third from Sheffield, Massachusetts, and the top third was from up at Beaver Dam. Trevor's showing me that we're going to go over and show you this. Okay. But Cockeys Hill marble, Sheffield stone, Texas marble. And you can see, we can see, I don't know if you can see, you can actually see a slight change in color about a third of the way up. That's the difference in the colors of the stone. So that's the story of the Washington Monument. And I like to say that if it's not true, it should be. Let's move forward to the 1920s. In 1918, Henry Ford decides he's going to build a car for the masses, and he does. The middle class can now afford a car. We got literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of cars being bought. There's only one problem. There are no roads to ride on. We have to build the roads. You know, we got dirt paths, we got horse tracks, we have to build roads. So the 1920s is a time of great quarry expansion. We changed, because we had run out of marble, we changed from a stone quarry that was a dimension stone or marble quarry to a construction aggregates. We do roads, buildings, and things of that nature. In 1926, this company was bought by a company named Harry T. Campbell and Sons. Many of you might know that name, who was a road builder. He bought them and several other quarries in the nation. In 1960, with absolutely nobody to take over the Harry T. Campbell's, they sold it to a company called Flintcoat. Flintcoat was an asbestos company, and they knew that the handwriting was on the wall as far as asbestos was concerned. They tried to get out, and in the construction aggregates, they didn't make it. So they had to sell as part of an agreement. And in 1960, they turned around and sold the quarry to a company called Redlands. Redlands was a British publicly traded company. Redlands then merged with a company called Genstar. First it was Redlands Genstar, and then just Genstar. Genstar in turn in 1990 sold it to a company called Lafarge, a French company, publicly traded company, who bills itself as the largest producer of crushed stone, sand, and gravel in the world. Lafarge then turned around and sold it to a company called Bluegrass Materials. Bluegrass Materials sold it to Martin Marietta. And that's where we are today. You might ask, why did all these companies sell? They were quarrying companies. Well, the British companies, Redlands, Genstar, and Genstar, decided that they weren't getting their worldwide return on investment that they could get other places, and so decided to go other places. Lafarge decided they were going to concentrate on the Far East and the Mid East, and sold their operation here. Bluegrass was an investment company whose job it was to buy the quarry at the right price, fix it up if it needed to be, and then 5 years later resell it, which they did. They bought it for something like $120 million. That was this and some other quarries. And 5 years later, they sold it for $2.3 billion. And now we have Martin Marietta. I'm going to finish with the story of Martin Marietta and then turn it over to Trevor. Has some really interesting stuff to show you. Martin Marietta, the quarrying company, started as a company called Superior Stone in Raleigh, North Carolina. As a matter of fact, our headquarters are still in Raleigh, North Carolina. One quarry in 1926. One quarry became 2, became 5, became 10, and they were doing very well in North Carolina. Now, I can tell you that every quarry has not only this major type of stone, we here are a limestone, but also has different, every quarry has different minority, I'm going to call them, parts or types of stone. We had marble here. We have something called calcium carbonate that Trevor's going to talk about. There was a company called Marietta American who was in the business of finding these chemicals and buying quarries for these chemicals. And so they bought several of Superior Stone's quarries. At the same time, a man named Glenn L. Martin was doing his thing in the aerospace business. Glenn L. Martin was a pioneer in aviation, as most of you know. Glenn L. Martin, as a matter of fact, bought the Wright Brothers company from the Wright Brothers. His company grew. He became the bomber during World War II. And after World War II, he was slow getting on board as far as jet engines were concerned. So he came to the conclusion, I don't want to get in compete with jet engines with all these other people. We're going to get into missile defense systems. So in order to get these missile defense systems, he needed several specified aggregates, stone. And what he did is he merged with Marietta American, and they became Martin Marietta. Stayed that way again until 1990, when Lockheed approached the aerospace division of Martin Marietta and said, we'd like to merge. And if you go down to White Marsh right now, you won't see Martin Marietta. You'll see the name Lockheed Martin. Martin Marietta kept the name and kept the aggregates, stone, sand, and gravel. They are now either the largest or the second largest producer of crushed stone, sand, and gravel in the nation. And they are acquiring quarries as fast as they can find. We are Texas are proud to be members of that Martin Marietta family. That concludes my recital of lots of useless but fascinating information. I'm going to turn it over to Trevor, and he's going to show you the real meat of what we do and why we do it. Thank you.
And a virtual round of applause for Dave. Good job, Dave. My name is Trevor Hedrick. Take the hat and shades off so you can see my full face. My name's Trevor Hedrick. I am the administrative guru, essentially, for this site. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by showing you a couple of these plaques that Dave was talking about. So I'm going to go one by one, let it sit there for about 10 seconds or so, just so that you can kind of briefly look at them and read them. They're most of the historical side. Dave gave a great synopsis of everything here, from the Texas quarry history to Martin Marietta's history to all the different companies that were here. Make sure if you do have questions, make sure that you jot those down so that we can answer those for you. Because if you were here in person, we would be doing that for you at the conclusion of the actual visit. We'd be standing around waiting and working with you for questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the camera and I'm going to go from area to area so that you can see those. So bear with me as I get everything lowered and move around. And this one here is showing a couple different key items. Let me let it stabilize. There we go. First one here is one of the questions that I probably should have asked Dave to answer. But a lot of friends ask, where did the name Texas come from? We're obviously not in the state of Texas, right? So we're not in the state. This article right here is from the Baltimore Sun, October 1st of 1946 is the credit for this. This is kind of giving a little backstory, but where did the name Texas come from? This is one of two stories as to where the name came from. Irish immigrants were in the army. They were stationed in the state of Texas during the Mexican-American War. When they returned from that war, they voted to name the place Texas. Easy peasy, right? That's a nice, easy way of doing that. The second one is an urban legend, which is a give or take, but it's one of our favorites. The urban legend is this place at that moment was called Ellengowan. 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 An Irish name, like Dave was saying at the very beginning of his recital that he was giving. It is an Irish name. Lots of Irish immigrants here. As it's Ellengowan, there's a family up north somewhere. New York, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, somewhere up north. New England area. And they decide, we've heard of this state, Texas. We've heard of it. Warm, hot environment, climate. We want to go there. So let's go there. So they get saddled up, horseback, buggy, wagon, ox, mule, donkey, horse, whatever they had, and they start their trek. So they start what we know today as the I-95 corridor. They're making their way down this way. Well, something happened. Either the ox or mule ran out of gas, or the wheel got a flat tire, something happened, and they broke down right here in today's Texas. The dad threw up his hands. He said, never mind, we're in Texas. We made it. And that's the other urban legend as to why this place is called Texas. So a lot of what Dave was mentioning, why start mining here? Well, it was due to the lime, the agricultural lime, the limestone. Then the last ones that Dave had mentioned with a couple follow-up pictures, the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., the George Washington Monument in Mount Vernon, Baltimore, the spires to the St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City, the National Capitol Building columns in Washington, D.C., Capitol Building porch in Annapolis, and the steps to the row homes in Baltimore. I'm going to scooch our view so you can see another set of photos. Let that sit for a minute. This view is of the row homes steps in Baltimore, the white marble steps. As Dave probably had mentioned, it was a byproduct. It was a waste product of ours. As Dave mentioned in his Abraham Lincoln story of the Washington Monument, this is what Abraham Lincoln saw as he was riding around Washington, D.C. It was the Washington Monument partially built. The view of our quarry back in the late 60s, early 70s, which was really nothing. There was nothing out here. These are the columns for the Capitol buildings and a old hydraulic stone breaker. They used explosives, but they also utilized hydraulics back in the day. Now we use explosives. So moving on, we have just a couple more real quick. This one here is just a real quick snippet of what Dave had presented on for the history. So you have 1791 as our start date, essentially. Then we go into the first use of stone for the George Washington Monument. Marble used for phase 1 of the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. We go all the way back pre-Civil War, right? All the way back pre-Civil War. This is that first company. This is what Dave was talking about with Harry T. Campbell. So Harry T. Campbell, they started with the purchasing of quarries. Then we move to our second and last plaque. And that one, sorry for any glare, World War II ends. We now start building tons of interstates. $32 billion Federal Highway Act is passed. So now quarries are needed. We need those roads. Harry T. Campbell and Sons Corporation sells. These are all the acquisitions that Dave was talking about. So we've got all the acquisitions on here, all the way to modern day Martin Marietta. So that is just so that you can kind of see a historical placard side as well. So if you have questions about any of that, please jot them down and we will gladly answer them to the best of our ability. Let me get this set back up for you. Make sure that I'm looking nice. I did do my makeup today. No, I didn't. Okay, so back into here. That's a lot of historical information. When it comes to our site, there's a couple different factors that happen on our site. One is the limestone that Dave was talking about. So we actively produce, well, we have the limestone quarry. So with the limestone quarry, there's a couple other minerals that are found here. There was a company here on this facility called Imerys, I-M-E-R-Y-S, Imerys. They operated underground here. So that was purely an underground facility. They would go underground, they would mine underground to look for a specific mineral. That mineral, I have one with me to show you. Luckily, the sun is shining right on it. This is the mineral. This mineral is called calcium carbonate. So as all of us adults know, you go into your medicine cabinet at home and you get an antacid or you get Tums. Well, what's the active ingredient? 100% active ingredient in Tums? It's rocks. You're eating rocks. You're literally eating calcium carbonate. If you look at your Tums bottle, it'll say at the top, active ingredient, 100% calcium carbonate. Just take a bite out of this and you've got a much better stomach. Now, I am not an advertiser for any form of mineral or chemical. Sorry. This is, but calcium carbonate was found here. Trace elements are still here with the calcium carbonate. It is more of a crystallized form of the limestone that's down in the pit right now. So you actually can see some of the crystals that are in here. A lot of the limestone that's here today, you're going to see it more as a hard, what we would see every day as a rock. You'd see it like a rock. It just looks like a white rock. This one is more sparkly and shiny. Calcium carbonate also is really, really neat. It's used for a couple other things. The primary purpose from this facility was for paint pigment. The color of this fence, the color of my car, the color of Dave's car, the color of the trucks that move in and out of here. Paint pigment. Because you go to Home Depot, you go to Lowe's, you go to Ace Hardware, you go to any hardware store and you ask for a 5-gallon jug of paint, what color does that start? It starts white, right? It starts white. How does it get white? Well, it gets white because a mineral. The mineral creates that. Then from there, they add the different dyes to it, mix it all up, and you have your color. You have your different colors. So they worked with the minerals for the calcium carbonate underground for paint pigment. Another really cool one is brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. Well, for those of us who still have teeth, no, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Brush your teeth. And when you have your toothbrush on your teeth, you may feel like a little grit, a little grime, like a little crunch. What is that? Well, you got baking soda, you got a couple other different minerals, but another key one there is calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate, you're scrubbing your skeleton with rocks to make it clean. I know, it blows my mind. Another really neat one is go to the grocery store, go to the supermarket, get a bag of grapes. You get a bag of grapes, take them home. I'm from Indiana. We call it a wash basin. You set them in the sink and you wash your grapes. Well, on the top of those grapes, as you're washing them, you'll notice there's a white film liner. That white film liner, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, that's why I wash my grapes, right? Because there's dust or dirt on it. Well, yes, but no. That white film liner is sprayed on microscopic calcium carbonate. It's rocks. If you don't wash that off, you're just eating some more rocks. It's calcium carbonate. It is what we call a death delayer or a preservative. It preserves and extends the life of that fruit, that vegetable. I'm actually 950 years old. I drink a lot of calcium carbonate. No, I'm not. I'm only 30. Dave, on the other hand, several thousands of years old. So calcium carbonate, that was used for underground. They extracted that. There was an issue with asbestos. There was an asbestos scare that they no longer were allowed to mine underground. So they no longer exist here. Those active portals, they are underground active portals. They are being closed off. When it comes to our property, we are roughly about 800 acres, give or take, of the plot of land from Padonia Road to I-83 to Warren Road to Beaver Dam Road. That plot of land, if you look at it on a Google map, that's roughly, give or take, 800 acres of our property. Imries was they're renting our property for the minerals. So they were looking to get those minerals. They no longer exist here. The minerals do, but that company does not. So if anybody ever says, oh, the Texas quarry's going under, they're leaving. No, we're not. We're still here. We're here for decades to come. A lot of rumors started because that was being torn down. And then that looks like the quarry's going under. We are not. We are here to stay. We're actually going to be playing this quarry out. More than likely, Martin Marietta will. So when it comes to that, Imries functioned underground, right? So they functioned underground with all these tunnels. Well, how far did they go, Trevor? Where did they go? Did they go under 83? Did they go under Beaver Dam? Did they go under Lowe's, Home Depot? Did they go down to Towson? No, none of them except one. Except one. We have 7 total portals, is what they're called, openings to the underground world that go out onto our property, but do not leave the property. Don't go under any roads except that one. That one, each of these are about 40 feet tall by 40 feet wide. This one special one, 10 feet tall by 10 feet wide with a train, a modern day train, underground rail that goes from the Texas quarry down under Towson, down the 95 corridor, all the way down to Washington, D.C., and parks right underneath the White House as an escape route for the President of the United States. Do you believe me? If you said no, you're right, because that's a lie. That's a rumor. That's a myth. That's completely, we like to debunk everything. So that is a rumor that was spread on the online website Reddit, Reddit. So somebody made up a huge rumor that there's an escape route. There's all these escape routes out here. All the tunnels lead out to all these different places. That is a lie. The tunnels go nowhere. They stay right here on site. They go nowhere. So if you know anybody that's local here and they say, I have a sinkhole in my backyard and it's from the quarry, they're lying. I promise. We don't go anywhere else. So that's the Imries side. That's the calcium carbonate. That's the mineral. We don't use that anymore. No need for it. It's also used in chalk, by the way. If you were here in person, I draw it right on the ground. You could see it. It's chalk. Another mineral that we have here within all of this limestone, we have another mineral that is pyrite. Pyrite, as all of us know, some of us are probably saying it out loud. It's also known as fool's gold. It's known as fool's gold. If you look very carefully, you may not need to look very carefully, but you can see a lot of the shimmer. You see a lot of the glitter that's there. That glitter, that's the pyrite. So that pyrite is everywhere here. I could go out here to this little driveway. I could pick up a little piece of 57 stone, and I bet you I'm going to find some pyrite in there. Heck, The asphalt roads that we drive on every day have so much pyrite and marble and calcium carbonate in them, and we don't even know it. It just looks like a black road to us. But believe it or not, it is made out of rocks, just rocks with a little bit of tar and oil mixed in. But pyrite we have here everywhere. So every now and then we'll get like a little chunk of pyrite, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I actually have gold. No, I don't have gold. So that is the mineral compound of what makes this place up. Primarily, so much of it is limestone. So a lot of it being limestone. Well, first and foremost, when it comes to the quarry itself, I'm going to walk through the stages, the steps of mining here at this facility. They may vary somewhere else. So actually, I know they do. Different places have different mining techniques. At our facility, I'm going to actually scooch our camera closer so I can get closer to the view for you, because there is an additional view down at the bottom that we may not have been able to see from before. Let me lower this down for you. Sorry, bear with me for just a minute while I get rickety. Okay, there we go. All right, so one thing that you'll see, it's beautiful. It's our water. So our water, that is all, this is a full man-made hole in the ground, completely man-made. There is nothing, I wouldn't say nothing natural, but human beings made this. The water that's down there, if you had to guess, I'll give you like 10 seconds to guess. Obviously, I'm not going to see your responses right now, but how deep do you think that water is? If you said 25 feet, you're wrong. If you said 5 feet, you're definitely wrong. If you said 50 feet, you're getting closer. If you said 100, you're in between. We are right at 75 feet deep. That water is 75 feet deep. Now, why does it look like that? Why is the water that beautiful bluish, greenish hue? Well, I'll give you a hint. Here's your hint. It's the rocks. It's the minerals. This mineral, the calcium carbonate that is here, it is broken up down in that water as a molecule, and a fine dust powder that's floating around in that water. With the refraction of the sunlight and the stone itself, you get that beautiful Bahama blue-green. And it's gorgeous. I'm going to put my rock back. So then, with that water, another question. What do you think? Do you think I could go swimming today? Could I go swimming in that water? Yes? No? The answer is yes, you can. That water, perfectly swimmable. Perfectly swimmable. Nothing's going to hurt you at all. Well, maybe a minnow, maybe a little fish might nibble at you. But yeah, there are fish. We actually just caught last week a 75-pound king salmon down there. That's also a lie. We have fish no bigger than my hand down there. Actually, probably about half the size of my hand. They're babies. How do they get there? It's from the talons of birds. From the talons of birds in natural runoff. Eggs, birds go around to different places, go down into the mud and muck. They get eggs on their talons. Come down here, take a bath. They wash off. Then we got turtles, fish, all sorts of different, aquatic environment down here. Perfectly swimmable. That is all regular rainwater. There's nothing pumped into this pit. Nothing. All regular rainwater. Think about it. This is the lowest point in Baltimore County. Everything runs back to our facility. So that is the lowest point. That is all swimmable, just like the Beaver Dam Swim Club, just like Loch Raven Reservoir, Lake Montebello, Quarry Lake, all perfectly swimmable. Nothing wrong with them. Do you think you could drink it? Eventually you can. As of right now, today, you could go down there and scoop it up in a glass. It would be crystal clear. completely clear. Dasani water bottle, crystal clear, because it doesn't have, it's not a large enough mass that you can see that refraction. But you do have that calcium carbonate floating around in that water. So you would want to then clean it. You'd want to filter it. So this water will eventually, when this is all played out and done, this will become Baltimore County's second largest form, or I'm sorry, Baltimore City's second largest form of public drinking water. Do you know what the first is? Loch Raven Reservoir, just out east. Loch Raven Reservoir is the largest form of public drinking water for Baltimore City. We will then be the second. This will turn into nothing but water. And my $5 million estate right here with my jet ski pad going right out onto my lake. And it'll be great. Let me back up the camera just a little bit so I can feel like I'm looking at you a little bit better. Make sure everything still looks good for you.
Trevor, can we ask some questions or?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, let's do some questions. I can hear you.
Oh, good. So it's very relevant because it's how long do they expect the quarry to continue to produce?
How long do we expect the quarry to continue to produce? We have a reclamation plan. The state will reclaim this land. We have a bond. So this quarry, this big peninsula in front of me, it's just big mass of stone. That mass is roughly about 15 to 20 more years for us of life. We are actively at the very top of it, extracting stone, blasting the stone. So that's about 15 to 20 years of life. Then, as we get that gone, you think of a quarry like an ice cream cone. Ice cream cone doesn't just stay straight down like a cylinder, right? Ice cream cones go down and in to where you get that lovely chocolatey ending. It's lovely. It's awesome. So we act like a cone, right? So we have to continue to funnel down. And as we get deeper and deeper, we have roughly about 150 to 250 more feet that we can explore, essentially, of mineral that we can use, of limestone. That gives us, from this year, last year-ish, we have roughly about 40 to 45 more years of life here. Job security for me, which is great. So we have about 40 to 45 more years of life here. What other questions do we have, Chess?
We wanted to know if calcium carbonate is also used in embalming since it's a destillator.
That is a really good question, and that is the very first time I've ever heard that question. So I'm going to repeat it so that Dave can hear it. The question was, do we think calcium carbonate is used in embalming since it is a death delayer?
We'll have to research and find out.
Well, we have homework.
To Google,
Dave,
I will go.
Dave and I have never had that question before.
I don't see any more. So if someone would like, if you want to continue, and then I just invite everyone to drop in the chat. If you're at a senior center, obviously, you can certainly drop it in the chat as well. Just one person at a time, maybe be the scribe.
Okay. So I'm going to continue if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So lifting off where we were, that's actually a perfect spot to lift off from. So we talked about the water. We talked about imaries. We talked about the calcium carbonate, the pyrite. We talked about all the different minerals here. Now to extract the minerals. How do we get them out of the ground? Well, we use modern technology now. So back in the day, long time ago, right? Wile E. Coyote, let's put the long stick of dynamite down in the ground. We're going to use the red plunger box, push it down, kaboom, right? Well, we don't do that anymore. We don't use the red plunger box. It's actually funny because we do have some toy plunger boxes over in the office that we just like to play with. They're fun. Obviously, they don't detonate, but it's just fun. They're relics now. Sorry, I used that word. But it's really neat. It's really, really neat. But what we use now is it's a modern day emulsion. It's like a hair gel. So I'll get to that in just a minute. But the very, very, very first and most important step in mining, think about it. Do a little mental guess. What is the very first step in getting that stone out of the ground? Some of us are exploded. Yeah, but if it's just top and you just put dynamite there, it ain't gonna do anything. Our very first step is drilling. You have to drill holes first, period. You cannot put explosives in the ground without that hole there. It just can't happen. So we actually will set up a series of holes, and I'm going to work and see if the camera will do it for us here in a minute, but I'll try to zoom in on a couple different spots for you. May work, may not. Bear with me. But we start with drilling. We can drill anywhere from 20 to 200 holes all around. If you can see kind of roughly on the left side. Actually, let me just walk over here so you can see. On this side of the quarry, you will see different benches. So you'll see different layers. They're what we call benches. They're horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. Those benches are roughly 50 to 75 feet tall. 50 to 75 feet tall, which puts our quarry, you do some quick mental math, you're looking roughly around 550 to 600 feet deep is the quarry. So those are benches. So with those benches, we have benches down here at the bottom. That's where we will actually do our drilling first. So we find the benches that we're going to have easy access. We drill those holes, then we bring a third-party contractor in. That third-party contractor, we do not house explosives on site. Martin Marietta does not house explosives on site. I'll say that for Martin Marietta. What we do is we hire a third-party contractor, and that contractor, their name is Dyno Nobel, like Dynamics, Dyno Nobel, as in Nobel Peace Prize. Well, would you look at that? Nobel, the Nobel, was the modern day founder of, well, not modern day, really, was the founder of explosives. Do you know that? I didn't until I started here. Nobel, not just the Peace Prize, but explosives as well. This company will come in with a big, cylindrical truck, a bulk truck is what we call it. We'll come over our scales at the scale house. We'll get a heavyweight, their full weight of material. They then jot that down. They drive along our haul road, which goes the entire perimeter of the quarry. They then go down into the pit where all those holes are laid out for the shot. We call it a shot. They then back up to it. They stick a tube down into those holes. Those holes are about 6 to 7 inches in diameter. They're huge. They're monsters, which means we got to put a lot of explosive in the ground. They'll back up. They'll put the tube in the ground. They'll fill it. They fill it most of the way up. They backfill it with stone, and then they have a booster cap on top. They run the line, the little electrical line. I just gave you a hint of something. They run that line over to a brain, over to a box, a bulletproof box that's going to talk, but not a human talk. So then we get it full. That emulsion is ammonium nitrate and fuel oil, fertilizer. All of us should remember it's the Oklahoma City bomber. Very unfortunate, but that's the actual military grade explosive that they used for that instance. And that's what we use here. But obviously, very controlled. Those of us who have to handle it, purchase it, or maneuver it in any way at all, we have to go through, it's called an Orange Book training. We go down to Washington, D.C. for a week to the Department of Justice, and we do actual explosive training. So we go through that Orange Book training to know how to handle it, to know how to purchase it properly, how much to purchase, for how much we're needing. So we put that product in the ground. Then we come to a spot like this. Beautiful spot. Absolutely gorgeous. We then take our red plunger, pick it up, push it down, kaboom. No, we don't do that anymore, right? That's not something that we use. It's fun, you know, it's neat to see in Wile E. Coyote. It's funny, but we don't use that anymore. The technology that we use today, I cannot have my radio on my hip. I can't have my Apple Watch on my arm. I can't have my cell phone in my pocket. If you have a pacemaker, you'll never be allowed to work on that site. What do all of those have in common? Electricity. They all have electricity. If there's a thunderstorm rolling in, we got to try to get that off. We got to try to detonate that as fast as possible, safely, as fast as possible, because lightning, right? So what we do is we send a static electric charge, a radio frequency down to that box that says, go boom. It sends a static charge down those lines. And from this spot right here, we push two buttons together. And we still say to this day, what phrase? Can you guess? Fire in the hole. We still say it to this day. Push two buttons together, fire in the hole. And then three things happen. Three things. The first is you see it. It takes a 90-degree high wall and it makes the earth breathe. It goes up in the air and sloughs back off. It'll go up and back down and it's sloughed off. It's broken up, or what we call fragmented stone. So it fragments. Then from there, the second is you're going to feel it. You feel it under your feet, but you don't feel kaboom, one big boom under your feet. What you feel is a series of ripples. So those ripples go hole by hole by hole by hole by hole by hole in nanoseconds. Fire in the hole, brrr, real fast and it's done. But they do not go off at the exact same time. They go off nanoseconds from each other. Then the last thing is kapow. And that's literally what it sounds like. It sounds like the firework that goes off at 4th of July, that big cannon sound, that's what it sounds like. And there is about a 3 to 4 second delay between the detonation, what you see, versus what you hear. So you actually see it, feel it, kapow. Then the shot's done. That's it. So what's the next step? We've drilled, we've blasted. Now what? Now I have my favorite member of my volunteer crew. My Mr. Vanna is here. It's Dave. Dave is my lovely helper while we have in person. So we get the pictures and everything up. Then the next step is we got to load it. We got to scoop it up, put it in the back of a haul truck, and move it. Now we got to load it. So let me move this a little closer so that you can see. But what we have here is what my fingers are touching is a 992G pit loader. So that pit loader, of course, we've got the bucket up top. We've got 4 tires. That is a 2-story house on wheels. That pit loader will scoop up that blasted material and dump it into the haul truck. And actually something really neat that's coming by right now that I want to turn the camera for you because you don't normally get to see this. There is a large truck right across from me right now. That's our water truck. That is a Caterpillar water truck that is spraying the road down. That is an 11,000-gallon tank of water on the back of that truck. And what he does is he drives around and sprays all day long, sprays all of the roads. And what the water truck will do, he'll empty that 11,000-gallon tank at least 11 to 12 times a day. Empty. Over 100,000 gallons of water. And that's his job all day long. How cool would that be? So, back to our pit loader. Give a guess. This is a really neat guessing game. I do this with the kids that we have on the tours all the time. Give a guess. That tire, how tall do you think that tire is? If this is a 2-story house, how tall do you think that tire is? 5 feet? 7 feet? 20 feet? If you're in between that and you guess 10 feet, you're right. That tire is 10 feet tall. 10 feet tall. Uh-oh. I just blew that tire. I now need a brand new tire. I need a brand new tire. A 10-foot tall tire. How much am I paying for it? How much am I paying for a brand new tire? 5,000? 7,000? Couple $100? Oh gosh, I wish. $22,000. $22,000 for one stinking ring of rubber. $22,000. Well, if each tire is $22,000, how much is the whole stinking machine? This whole machine, we are actually in a bid right now between several companies to see who can get us the most cost effective, the soonest, with least amount of tariffs. This piece of machinery roughly runs around $2 to $2.5 million. $2 to $2.5 million. We have 2 of these loaders on site. We have 6 of these haul trucks on site. All the same height tire, all the same cost tire, but 6 of them. We're well over $120,000 in tires. How often do I need to replace it? Well, that's a wear and tear item, right? So we're looking roughly about every 3 to 4 years. Okay, so I'm looking at my car right now behind the screen. I replaced mine about every 4 years, but it ain't, over $100,000 worth. So there's a lot of money. But that also means we got to sell a lot of stone, right? We got to sell a lot to be able to put those tires on that truck, and the diesel, and the gases, and the energy, and the manpower to even run it. Each of these pieces of equipment has about 300 to 350 gallon off-road red dye diesel tank on it that gets filled twice a day. Twice a day. That's insane. That's a lot. Well, this loader scoops up that blast, puts up to 4 buckets in the back of this haul truck. We have our dump trucks, our triaxle dump trucks, who are all our customers. There are customers that drive around that purchase from us, what you would see on the highway. They're not owned and operated by Martin Marietta. They are separate customers and separate entities that will come in. Those triaxle dump trucks hold roughly 20 to 22 tons of material. If those regular dump trucks that you see on the road are holding 20 to 22 tons of material, how much do you think these hold? I'll give you a guess. It's not 20 to 22 tons. You're looking at trucks that will hold up to 100 to 150 tons of stone. Over 100 tons of stone per truck. That's
Hey,
a lot.
Trevor,
Yes,
we have several questions, and I'm just
go
sensitive
right
also of the time as well. So 2 about dynamite, okay, and blasting. So is there a specific placement for the holes? And another, I live fairly close, and why don't I hear these explosions?
Very good. So I live very, very close and I don't hear them. Good. We don't want you to. We don't want you to. We love to be a good neighbor, right? Just like State Farm. State Farm is there, right? Well, Martin Marietta, we're here. We're going to rumble. We're going to rattle. We're going to be a little loud. But the boom isn't as loud as what you would think it is. From a spot like this, you don't need hearing protection. It just sounds like one of those fireworks that goes up and just kaboom. You can really only hear it right here. For the rumble, you should be able to, depending on the vein that it's traveling on, you may be able to feel it up to a mile outside of the site. But when it comes to the hearing, you're not going to hear it. We don't want you to hear it, and we'd really love for you not to feel it either. So that's good. I'm glad you don't hear it. That's a very good thing. And then that first question was the holes. So is there any rhyme or reason as to where they go, their placement and stuff? Yes. So we have a mine planner, literally business card, that says their name, professional mine engineer. And all they do is they plot out where all these shots are going to be and how many holes they need to be and how much explosive material needs to go in the ground. And then we will map it all out with drone and LiDAR technology and we map them out and we place them on XY coordinate axis for your coordinates on a map. You know, instead of, oh, look, we're going to do 1.5 miles this way and 500 feet that way. No. It's like 32.987876 degrees latitude, whatever it may be, right? So we have the exact degree of the Earth, longitude and latitude, where we place them. So it's very specific. And that also assists. If you have one hole here, you have another hole here, and you detonate, you're going to fragment everything that's around those. You get them too close, you may have one big explosion out of that. You have them too far away, you're going to have a big boulder in between when you detonate. So we have to have them spaced out properly. So we have to be very careful with where they're spaced, where they're aligned to. I hope that answered that question for you.
That was a great visual. Thank you. We have two more. That water truck, concerning that water truck, was that from the quarry?
That water in the truck is recycled, renewed, reused. So that water that's in the water truck came from the quarry. It came from the pit. That is natural rainwater. So as that water gets spread out on everything, it also naturally either evaporates, which is what it's going to do today. It either evaporates, or on a more damp day that we still have to have it, it'll still trickle off and it'll trickle down back down into the water. We have to have that water truck, and that water truck has to be running if it's not raining, for dust suppression. If you look, you're not seeing clouds of dust anywhere. It's because the roads are damp. They're moist from the water truck. But yes, to answer that question fully and factorially, that is water from the pit.
Okay, well, we are clearly, and I'm sensitive to your time as well. We are in the question and answer quarry right now, which is great questions here. So specifically for the loaders and the hail trucks, are they made in the U.S.?
Not all of them, no. So are the loaders, the haul trucks and everything made in the U.S.? Not all of them. We actually have one that is here right now, which I can see, but you won't be able to see from where you're at. But it is down in the pit, and it's called a Komatsu. There's your key word, Komatsu. Key name, really. It's Japanese. Komatsu 785-8. It is a haul truck. It's a 150-ton haul truck. It weighs 70 tons by itself with nothing in it. But that is a Komatsu haul truck that is actually offloaded from Japan. So, and yes, there are tariffs on it. So
Okay.
I have one special person to thank for that.
So this comes with a caveat. Sorry if this sounds morbid, but how many injuries or deaths have occurred there? It seems like a tricky business.
Not morbid at all. Nope, not morbid at all. No, we get that question often. How many deaths or injuries have we had here? And Dave is holding up his fingers right now for me. 0. We have had 0 fatalities at the Texas quarry. 0 written and documented fatalities at the Texas quarry. As for injuries, injuries happen everywhere in this world. A laceration, a paper cut, a bruise on the leg, a pulled muscle. You know, I lifted something and now my back hurts, right? In a perfect world, nothing. But to err is human, right? We all can overextend ourselves from time to time, and we need to stop and look and manage that for ourselves. Some of us do, some of us do not. So we would rather it not happen, but sometimes there can be a strain here or there. But there have not been any fatalities. There have not been any massive ER visits of any kind. No. Morbid, you say morbid. No arms chopped off, that's great. No dismemberments. We have had 0 fatalities, and we will keep it that way at the Texas quarry.
I had the pleasure of going on site. Can you remind them what the sign says as you leave for the workers?
So there's a couple different signs that we have. One is I gotta remember it, Chastity, but it's your prize today, something along these lines.
Going home tonight is your prize for working safely today.
Dave, come up here. Say that out loud. Dave had it. I was about to say, I see it every day and I can't remember it.
It basically is Going home tonight is your prize for working safely today.
Nice.
Yeah.
We also have a guardian angel program that Trevor
Yeah.
can explain.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Dave mentioned we have a guardian angel program. Nothing to do with religion. Actually, believe it or not, all based off of Top Gun, the movie. We have our wing person, our wingman. So we all have somebody to look out for and that looks out for us. So we operate safely. Martin Marietta coins itself as a safety company that just happens to crush stone. So
Lovely.
other questions?
And then I guess maybe our final question, how do you control the excess water?
How do we control excess water? Very good question. So we actually have a 400 horsepower pump that is on right now down in the pit. It is submerged. Well, the tubing is submerged. Obviously, I don't want an electric motor submerged, but we have the 400 horsepower pump that is on right now with a 16-inch diameter monster tube that is pumping water up and out of the pit. If you were here in person with us, you would be able to see it. Looks like little black lines, little tubing and pipes coming up and climbing the sides of the walls. We are actively pumping that water up and out of the pit and into some of our ponds that we reuse the water for the water truck, for washing our stone, and for dust suppression. So, but we keep the water that depth. We're going to reuse it. We need it, but we pump it up and out. From time to time, we'll shut it off. You know, if we have a huge dry spell, we'll shut the pump off and we'll let it do its natural evaporative thing and we'll use it. So, yep, good question.
No, these are great. And just a few more tidbits here. One, if you like these programs, this is what OPAL does. We go everywhere. So I really want to thank Trevor and Dave for just being so accommodating, because if you didn't hear, this is their first time doing it virtual. So we are so thankful. I didn't know rocks could be so awesome and cool. And you two are just the gem of that quarry, as well as your team. So thank you very much.
And to kind of piggyback off of that, Dave says this all the time.
Yes.
This quarry really kind of is the gemstone of Baltimore County.
Yeah.
And you say it's a gem. Well, we happen to say that all the time. But thank you very much as well. This is our first ever virtual visit of the Texas Quarry. So thank you for being a guinea pig for us as well.
We're making history here. But if we wanted to come back in person, let's say the centers or just with family, you run tours. Could you tell them a little bit about that?
We do. So the tours are actually with Dave and I, just like what we're doing right now. It's stationary right here at our scenic overlook. You would get to see everything just a little bit closer in person. We do not go down into the pit due to MSHA, Mining Safety and Health Administration. We don't actually physically go down, but we stay put right here, which is an absolutely breathtaking spot. But we do tours really when you can collect a group. So we like to have families of 10 or more. You can have friends, enemies, neighbors, children. We have kids up here all the time. We have those who are not mobile that will come up here in wheelchairs. So we have a whole scope of human beings that are up here with us all the time. So, but yeah, you just reach out through email to me, which Chastity, if you have a way or a means of just providing my email address to the group, then that's all that it is. You just reach out and Dave and I set up a visit for you.
I love that. Well, do you mind if we do one more thing, and that is this awesome drawing? Because Trevor has really made these wonderful swag bags. I also just put your email in the chat. So if you can go there, that'd be great. So here we go. Just so you know, I'm having, one of your hats here, which is included. Not looking, not looking, not looking. All right, we have Francis Basel. See that? I won't tell your show. So Francis, I see you're here.
Kathy, if you could give us some feedback as far as this is concerned,
Yeah.
we greatly appreciate it.
You know
I'm
what?
going to close by saying that this man is the most enthusiastic, the most energetic, and the most organized person I have ever met in my entire life.
And can I tell you, he used to be an educator, and it is very clear. So we are so grateful. The other name that I randomly is Anna Souter. Congratulations, Anna Souter. We'll get you that. One more, and just so you know, I'm not cheating because this is fun, isn't it? We have Tammy Schaaf. So congratulations to you three. I will send this out in the mail to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all. You're awesome, both of you. What a joy it is to be with you today.
Oh, thank you for having us. And if anybody gets the opportunity to see the place in person, Dave and I would love to show you. It really is a sight to see, and especially on a day like today, we are very blessed to be here today.
Yes, it
Thank
is.
you.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you.
all. Really appreciate you. Have a good
Absolutely.
day and join us for more programs here at OPAL.
Absolutely.
And go see Trevor.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.